25 in 25, a legacy in progress, moderated by Chamber past President, former Houston Metro Chairman and Principal of Versa Infrastructure, Sanjay Ramabhadran.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us at the 25th anniversary gala of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce of Greater Houston. We're delighted to have folks that have been along this journey over the last 25 years with the Chamber. A quick introduction of everybody that's here. Harris County Commissioner Adrian Garcia. Carlicia Wright, the Chief Business Opportunity Officer with the Port of Houston. Paul Hamilton, former CEO of Shell and on the Board of Advisors of the Chamber. The one and only Jagdeep Ahluwalia. Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher. Former Greater Houston Partnership CEO Jeff Mosley. Former Harris County Judge, Mr. Hunker-Down Ed Emmett. University of Houston Chancellor Dr. Renu Katur. The Chamber's founding president, Dr. Durga Agarwal on the U of H Board of Regents. Asif Dakri, CEO of Wallace Bank. Melisha Patel, the president-elect of the Chamber and with Memorial Hermann. So we're going to try and take a walk down memory lane, 25 years in about 25 minutes. We'll try and get through this real quick. So I'm going to get right to it. Go to Dr. Durga Agarwal. As one of the largest family-owned employers in South Houston, what gave you the inspiration back in 1999 to start the Chamber and share with us some of the early successes and partnerships?
So I was encouraged by close friends like Consul General Rinjing Wangdi, Ashok Nath, who is here today, and founding directors like Ashok Shah, along with the unconditional support of my wife, Sushila. I have personally benefited more from the Chamber than Chamber has benefited from me. I just want to reinforce that. And I was driven by a passion to strengthen business and ties between India and the US, helping businesses connect, share knowledge, and grow together. One of our early successes was taking MD Anderson to India at the request of Dr. Malcolm Gillis, President of RICE, and signing a MOU between Tata Memorial Cancer Center in Mumbai and MD Anderson. With the help of Dr. John Mendelsohn, thank you. With the help of Dr. John Mendelsohn, we convinced Dr. Tom Brown, who was going to go to China, and he did not have interest in going to India. We pushed him to go to India and visit AIMS, All India Institute in Delhi, Tata Memorial in Mumbai, and Yoga Institute in Bangalore after their trip to China. This collaboration led to advancement like virtual meetings, physician exchange between Mumbai, Delhi, and Houston, and also patient discussions of different patients between MD Anderson and Mumbai Tata Memorial Cancer Center. Also, we got NIH grant. MD Anderson got NIH grant for the yoga research at MD Anderson. This is the first time in the history of NIH they gave money for research for yoga. We also played a pivotal role in bringing companies like BMC Software to India to further the economic ties between US companies and India. Bob Beecham had decided to open an office in China. Several of us went to Bob Beecham, president of BMC Software, and convinced him to go to India, not to China. And that happened. He was going to send Dr. Subhas Agarwal to India to start the business. He left the company, and Pankaj Dhume, who is here, he went to India and started BMC Software in Pune. And I remember him telling me that I have more people working at BMC Software in Mumbai, Pune and India than their headquarters in Houston, Texas. He had many more employees. So it's amazing what we have been able to do. And I really thank Jagdeep Aluwalia for what he has done. He has been a hard-working guy, working day and night.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Agarwal. Let's go to Paul Hamilton. As the CEO of a large corporation, Shell, you engaged with the Chamber when the Chamber was just a fledgling organization. Shell has continued to be a pillar of support for the Distinguished Lecture Series, the Women in Business Series, and so much more. And in all these years, in your personal capacity, you've still engaged with the Chamber, flying from out of town to participate in our events. Tell us why. What did the Chamber mean to you?
Good evening. It is truly a pleasure and an honor to be here. It's fun to reconnect with old friends and to meet some new ones. So the question is really what precipitated Shell to get involved? And it had to do with one thing. Several of our employees were engaged with the original organization. And several years later, they had come and asked for funding, sponsorship, and we gladly gave that, and it has grown and has continued to grow the relationship. We opened up offices in Bangalore, among many of the other activities that have been sponsored. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you again for the support. Thank you for being here. Dr. Couture, to this day, the Chamber fondly recalls that we were your first public appearance in Houston after you came to the University of Houston some 14-something years back. You could be doing 100 different things, Dr. Couture, but you've chosen to make the time to be an advisor to the Chamber. Could you speak to that role and also to the many initiatives that the University of Houston and the Chamber have embarked on in the healthcare, energy, education sectors?
Well, thank you so much. As for time, I believe that if you have passion for something, you don't have to find time. Time finds you. And I do have passion for what happens in India and United States. So I want to thank Chamber, first of all, and all of you here for supporting me all these years, 17 years in Houston for me now. And thank you.
17. The pandemic.
So thank you for supporting me, and thank you for supporting the University of Houston. As for what we do together, many of these initiatives with the help of the Chamber. There's some things that you already know. They're very obvious. The India Studies Center, we have a Tamil chair, we have so many students here. Actually, we have the largest number of international students now than ever, and the largest group, the biggest group is really from India now, no longer from China. So, things are good. And one more thing you may not know, that 70 to 80% of those Indian students who come here, they are eligible, they are able to get in-state tuition. So we think that that's really important. But I want to tell you a couple of things that you may not know, and that's in energy, health, and education. So in energy, our faculty, Dr. Dinesh Thakur particularly, has been working with Oil India. And this is for reservoir management. And with the help of the researchers from the University of Houston, Oil India is able to extract 25% more oil from the same oil fields than they were doing before, saving them a ton of money and getting more oil. We also have a data center now here. The government of India has put a data center in our tech bridge where all of the data for all of the Indian basins is here, so that the energy industries do not have to travel to India. They just come here to look for what kind of oil reserves are in India and what kind of business they can do. We also have a hydrogen hub here, which is in collaboration with the Indian government. In healthcare, I do want to acknowledge, because of the persistent effort from Dr. Durga Agrawal, we started the DNP program there. And that is a doctor in nursing practice, and that's the trainers or the nurses who actually train nurses. And India has a pretty much shortage, just like here, for nurses. So these people will be able to train nurses in India. In terms of education, there are many things, but I'll just highlight you one thing, that we have trained so many PhDs from University of Houston in science and engineering. they are teaching in, so many of them are teaching in IITs and Indian Institute of Sciences. When I went to India, I was able to actually meet them. They have now formed a club, so we are helping in that way India as well. So a lot of great
Dr.
things.
Couture. Lots of exciting things happening at the University of Houston. Thank you for all that you've done for the University of Houston over the last 17 years. Commissioner Judge Mosley, in your role as CEO of the Greater Houston Partnership, leading economic development for the Texas Governor's Office, as Texas Transportation Commissioner, and then at Texas Central High-Speed Rail. Along that entire journey, you've been associated with the Chamber. What stands out to you? What's kept you coming back?
Sanjay, thank you so much for this chance to just bring very brief greetings to the Indo-American Chamber. Congratulations on this beautiful celebration, this anniversary, well-deserved. I knew the day that I met Jagdeep Ahluwalia, a fellow who has a background in not only manufacturing but engineering, that he was serious about jobs. And it was my pleasure to team up with him and with the Indo-American Chamber to look at how we could bring those jobs to Texas, to work with Judge Emmett, Senator Ellis, and other leaders in this room. And it's just been a pleasure to have that relationship through the Greater Houston Partnership, the Department of Economic Development of the state, the TxDOT Commission, to fight for jobs for Texas. And I salute this organization and Jagdeep in its commitment to grow jobs here.
Thank you. Judge Emmett, your association with India and the Chamber predates your time as Harris County Judge. I think it began through your transportation logistics work in the mid-90s and as the father of Joseph of India, as you call him. You've had a tremendous impact on the success of the Chamber over the last several years, and you're integral to a lot of what the Chamber has accomplished. Again, there was a big pressure on your time. You've made the time. What are some favorite memories?
Well, it's great to be here. My fascination with India started, as you said, in the mid-90s when we still lived in Washington, D.C., and I was running a trade association. And I've been many times, and probably the first time and the latest trip are good parameters. My first trip, like so many Americans, I was overwhelmed, maybe underwhelmed in a degree too. But you know, just the humanity, the smells, the sights, everything about it. And I came back and everybody wanted to know, what do you think about India? And I said, well, I can't wait to go back. And they kind of went, that makes sense. My latest trip, however, was on the other end of that. Gwen and I went to the Ananda Spa in the Himalayas overlooking Rishikesh. Totally different from the streets of Bombay, you might say. But in between is when you realize that every trip to India produces something different. I mean, one trip, again, organized by the Chamber, helped us talk to Anand Mahindra, and Mahindra Tractor moved their North American headquarters to Houston because of that trip. You know, another trip, he mentioned Joseph of India. I went to India before my son Joseph, but then Joseph goes and studies at the Vedanta Academy under Swami Parthasarathy, and he's now the director of the Vedanta Foundation of Houston, and he's in India right now, and he teaches Vedanta all over the world. Now, I couldn't have seen that coming, but that's a different outcome. And then the third that I'll mention, as soon as I got to Rice University had a delegation go to IIT Kanpur to talk about cooperation. So my ties to India are personal, they're business, they're everything, and the fascination that I had in the mid-90s has just grown over the years. So, and a lot of that I did not realize until I met Jagdeep, the shy, retiring person that he is, how much he was going to trade on that. And it's a great thing, and I thank him and I thank the Chamber for getting me involved.
Thank you, Judge. I got to ask you this. No Dalai Lama story?
No Dalai Lama story, although, again, talking about the shy retiring Jagdeep, we were on a trade mission, and the Dalai Lama was in our hotel, and Jagdeep managed to get the Dalai Lama to bless a shawl, who then threw it over my head. It's a great story. I don't have time to tell it, but let's just say a photo of me and the Dalai Lama is prominently displayed in my office, all due to Jagdeep.
So, Judge, as they say, a picture says 1,000 words.
There it is.
So, thank you for sharing that. Commissioner Garcia, you've worn many hats as you've served the citizens of Houston and Harris County. Houston police officer, Houston City Council member, Harris County Sheriff, and now Commissioner of the third largest county in the United States, Harris County. Through all of this, your engagement with the Indo-American community and the Chamber in particular has been right up there. Why? What's this meant to you?
Well, first of all, let me just say namaste, sat sri akal, buenas noches, and good evening. And, it's actually a very good question. And it really begins, I think all of us are touching around the edges about why the Indo-American Chamber is so significant in all of our roles and in the vision that each and every one of us has. But for me, it begins with respect. Being the son of immigrants, we need to make sure that we are respecting and acknowledging every segment of our community. But thank you. I think that is absolutely very critical. But in those respective roles, it is also important recognizing that Harris County has the Port of Houston in its backyard. It is in my precinct. And so there's not a day that goes by for me that I am not continuously thinking about how to make sure that the Port of Houston remains relevant, not only today, not only in the next foreseeable future, 5, 10 years, but in 40, 50 years from today. And that begins with looking at other economic sectors around the world to ensure that we are absolutely connected. And it's the Indo-American Chamber that knows how to connect the dots to ensure that whatever emerging economic sectors we may have in the Houston-Harris County area, that we're finding those opportunities and building those relationships in India and in other parts of the world. And I couldn't do it without the leadership and the just careful and thoughtful navigation of those roles, those relationships by Jagdeep. And I just really have to thank him for that, because on my first, and I hope not my last trip to India, if not for Jagdeep, we would not have been able to have a conversation with the Port of Mumbai. And for me, I want to continue to build on that conversation to ensure that as we deepen and widen the port and start to welcome those mega vessels, that those mega vessels are not just from Panama, but from India and other parts of the world. So for me, it has to do all with the Port of Houston, and that Jagdeep is a master of understanding where the opportunities in India lie, so that we can bring those and build those relationships right here in Harris County.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
But the Chamber is all about trade, and it's two-way trade. It's import and exports, not just products and goods, but also talent and investments that are coming into our region to create local jobs. Congressman Fletcher, as a member of the United States Congress, you represent probably the largest constituency of Indo-Americans anywhere in the United States. Talk to us about how the Chamber has helped connect you to the Indo-American business community and your conversations with them and what you've learned from those business leaders, many of them running small businesses that form the backbone of our economy.
Well, thank you so much, Sanjay. And you're right. I am incredibly proud and incredibly honored to represent such a large Indo-American community here in Texas's 7th Congressional District. And it's just been so wonderful to work with the Indo-American Chamber, to work with Jagdeep, and to work with so many others to make sure that I know and understand the issues that the business community is facing and the community more broadly, to make sure, one of the big challenges that I'm sure all of my friends up here can relate to is that when you represent a lot of people, and especially if you're traveling back and forth to Washington, sometimes it's hard to keep your finger on the pulse of everything. And the chamber has really facilitated so many important conversations, meetings, opportunities to sit down, break bread, talk about the challenges and opportunities in front of us over the last 6 years in particular. And one of the things that I prioritize because it matters to our community is, of course, trade, and I serve as the chair of the Trade Task Force in the new Democrat coalition in Washington. And so getting the insights about the challenges, knowing how connected people in our community are to people around the world, and how global affairs as well as affairs at home matter to us, and to bring our perspective. I think it's so important to bring the voice of this community to Washington, D.C. Many people may remember my first slogan was, "We need a little more Houston in Washington, D.C." It's still my slogan because it's absolutely right. I am so privileged and so proud to represent this incredible community of just absolutely engaged, committed, thoughtful, creative, innovative folks who are constantly looking at challenges as opportunities and making sure that we are working together to solve our challenges and to make the world a better place. And so that's what I see, that's what I get in all of my interactions with the Chamber, and it's just an incredible privilege, and I'm so grateful to the Chamber for helping make sure that I know and that I can bring an authentic voice from this community to Washington.
Thank you, Congressman, and thank you for representing all of our collective interests in our nation's capital. Thank you. Asif Dakri, as CEO of Wallace Bank, you've been a huge supporter of the Chamber and its small business initiatives in particular. Speak to your interaction with the Chamber, what value that has provided to you, and the value that you provided in return to the community as one of the, if not the largest SBA lender in our region.
Thank you for the question. And I see there is a clock up here for those of you who don't realize, and I have to be quick because Jagdeep might get all over me if I take too long on this one. So the Chamber itself, to me, over the last 25 years, has been a fantastic sounding board for not just people here in the U.S., but also people abroad, people from India coming to the U.S. And I think that continuation has been great. But I think the one thing that we also seem to forget sometimes is that if we look around this room, there's 1,000 people here who are from here. And these 1,000 people here are networking with each other. And so the other great thing the Chamber has done, and Jagdeep has been fantastic at this, has been making the connections between companies that are here in Houston, here in Texas, here in the U.S. I think that's something that we tend to overlook sometimes with all the great, big, huge things that go on between the Chamber and India and the U.S. But I think it's the people here who really make the difference in the Chamber and what the Chamber does. So, Jagdeep, thank you for that. We appreciate all the efforts you've put forth to get this gala and these people in one room together talking and doing business together. So thank you for that. Yes. In terms of the bank itself, in the last 25 years since the Chamber has been here, the bank has been and always will be somebody that thrives within the community based on how the community is doing. So we are very fortunate that this community has been beneficial to us, and we want to be just the same back to the community. We want to be there for the community. We want to make sure that these connections that are happening today in this room, outside of this room, that there's somebody there to give the capital that's necessary to make sure those connections actually come and become something beautiful for both parties there. We were fortunate when the pandemic came. We did a tremendous amount of PPP lending here, one of the largest PPP lenders here, largest for minority businesses, largest for people of color also. And we continue that kind of thought process through SBA lending, making sure that the access to capital is there for everybody here. We are the largest SBA lender here in Houston, and we're proud of that. Yes, thank you. Yes, yep. And we want to continue that. We want to make sure that goes on. And with the help of the chamber, I'm sure we can make sure that happens. So thank you.
Thank you, Asif. And you mentioned the PPP loans. A few weeks back, the SBA administrator, it's a cabinet position, was going to be at Wallace Bank, partnering with the chamber, talking to small, medium businesses to see what can be done for access to capital. So thank you for all that you do for the community. Carlis, you're right. The chamber has always had a focus on making sure folks understand about certifications for small minority businesses, so on and so forth, and also connecting with buyers and agencies. As the head of the City of Houston's Office of Business Opportunity at Lone Star College, and now as the Chief Business Opportunity Officer at the Port of Houston, you have been with us all along the way, looking at mutually beneficial initiatives. Tell us more about that, and saying no to Jagdeep is difficult is also a perfectly good answer.
Well, Sanjay, you're right. It's so difficult to say no to Jagdeep. Jagdeep has been a wonderful advocate for the Indo-American community. And, when I came to Houston, not 25 years ago, so I've only been a partner of the Chamber for the past 13 years. But when I came to Houston, one of the things that Jagdeep was one of the first people that I met. And he talked about the Chamber. He talked about, with passion, the members and the capacity of the businesses that are members of the Chamber. As I said, he is one of the biggest advocates for the community. And so, in my roles, similar to our Commissioner Garcia here, I've held several roles. What's really, really critical is that government contracting is a major industry and a major opportunity for economic opportunity for small and medium businesses. And so I want to make sure, my personal mission is to make sure that diverse businesses and suppliers are participating in the vast amount of opportunities. And so the partnership that I've had in whatever role, whether it was with the City of Houston's Office of Business Opportunity and now at Port Houston, is to make sure that businesses and members of Indo Chamber and other chambers are aware of the vast amount of opportunities to support the infrastructure and sustainability of our diverse and great city. And so, as you said, it's very difficult to say no to Jagdeep, but it's for good cause. It creates economic opportunity for the businesses, and he really, really is committed to doing that for the membership. So it's been great to work with you all for the past 13 years.
Thank you. So we're going to go to Jagdeep, since others haven't talked enough about him. You've been all things Indo-American Chamber from day one, right? How have things changed over time? How has the Chamber adapted? And many would say that you've set the gold standard for chambers of commerce. What goes on in that mind when you start thinking about a new initiative that you want to convince somebody or twist somebody's arm to get on board with?
I do want to correct a couple of mistakes that this group is making. The chamber is what it is because every one of you. I just ride on the shoulder of giants. Because by myself, I'm a nobody. But because of every person in this room, we collectively have in the last 25 years have made a significant role. And people like Ashok Garg, Durga Agarwal, Rajiv Bhavsar, Sanjay, every one of them have been instrumental in building the chamber. And I want to mention that the Dalai Lama saw us in Delhi because he knew Judge Emmett and Sanjay were in the room. They were there. He was there because they were there. So we got to give them credit, not me. But to tell you the truth, 25 years ago, we could never have believed that India would have such an impact. We hoped it would. 25 years ago, we were not the flavor of the month. Today, Atul tells me, Atul Vardacharya, one of my past presidents, a lot of organizations say if you do not have an Indian component in your innovation, investors may walk away from you. Every large corporation that I know of either has or is putting up a knowledge center in India, because knowledge is the fuel of the future. But looking at the watch, I can go on for 50 minutes. I want to stop here by saying I have done nothing for the chamber.
I am just the amplifier. I'm the telephone operator. It is the voice of the community that has made the chamber what it is. Thank you very much.
I'm glad Jagdeep is keeping an eye on the clock, because if I had not kept my eye on the clock, I would have been fired. Yeah. But Malaysia, let's get to you. It's been an absolute honor serving on the board with you. You serve as the CEO of multiple hospitals, the Memorial Hermann system, which means over the last 5 years, you've been really, really, really busy. But you've made the time to ensure that the future of the chamber is bright and is in the good hands of the next generation of leaders. What's the chamber meant to you? And as president-elect, tell us your vision for the future.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you, Sanjay, and hello, everybody. I'm thrilled to be here tonight. I first want to start off by just saying thank you to the chamber for entrusting me to serve as a leader this coming year. The 25th anniversary this year is a huge milestone for us. And with the folks we have on stage and everyone in this room, we've accomplished a lot in the past 25 years, from supporting small businesses, developing long-lasting trade relationships, building on the relationship we have with our country and another country. We've created fruitful networking opportunities. We've established some amazing programs like the Distinguished Lecture Series and healthcare initiatives, and we've done so much more. But we've been able to do that with our members and with the greater Houston community. In addition, with the commitment and dedication of our honorees tonight and our past honorees. So I want to congratulate all of you. Over the next 25 years, I really believe that there is a lot of opportunity in developing our next generation of leaders. They will carry the torch forward for what's been created in this past 25 years, but also will continue to support and build on our foundation members who have brought us here today. I envision us continuing to sustain and build on our excellent programs, like our female initiatives for our women initiatives, our healthcare initiatives, and I'll say I'm excited about that because I do know a few people. But overall, I'm looking forward to continuing to build and grow and engage as the chamber evolves. Thank you.
Thank you, Malaysia. As you can all see, the future of the chamber is in great hands with her coming in as the next president. I must give her credit. 3 days back, she literally did not have a voice. She'd had to rest just to be able to be here, so thank you. As we wrap this up, I understand there's something hot off the press from Harris County Commissioner's Court. So Commissioner Garcia, if somebody could give him a mic, or I can lend this to you.
Yes, first of all, again, I am so honored and grateful, and just love Jagdeep for all he does for all of us. But I just want to say that on the eve of Diwali, that I want to make sure that Diwali continues to look upon the chamber and continue to bless it with more success, continued prosperity for everyone involved and for all that it serves. But also, if you want to buy your fireworks, you can now do it in Harris County. Thanks. But all the credit must go to Commissioner Leslie Briones because she's the one that championed it. So happy Diwali, everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for the star-studded panel. What you all have done over the last 25 years with the chamber is what's allowed the chamber to prosper. Thank you all for making time this evening to be part of this Silver Jubilee celebration. Please stay on stage. We are now going to transition to the next stage of the celebration. We're going to have a lot more folks join us on stage. Please help me welcome to the stage the Board of Directors of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. Ashok Garg, ADM Tekest, Swapan Daryavan, Subodh Butcher, Joya Shukla, Rimple Mashruwala, Karen Francis, Alan Richards, Tarush Anand, President-elect Malisha Patel, and President Rajiv Bhavsar. You all make your way on stage, please. We've got a lot of folks to join us on stage. As I read you all's names out, please make your way up here. Our directors at large, Dr. Ashish Kamath, Swatantra Jain, Juhi Ahuja, Mahesh Puducherry. Our past presidents that are here this evening, Ashok Nath, Randir Sinha, Somesh Singh, Subrata Mukherjee, Pankaj Dume, Atul Vardachari, Brij Katuria, Madhu Prasad, and Mona Parekh. Our advisory board members, Bob Patel here, Dr. David Lebron is here this evening. Paul Hamilton's already on stage with us. We're also going to be joined by several CEOs, partners, and business leaders. A long list here. Bal Sareen, Asif Dakri, Musa Dakri, Gupta Sukant, Indra Vishnampat, Anna Kopp from Shell, Harish Katrani, Charles Foster, Emily Newman, Leviticus, if I mispronounce your name, my apologies, Cleveland, Ingrid Robinson, Hasu Patel, Michelle Hunley from Centerpoint, Sheila Briones from HCC, Nick Danani, Jim Sesniak from the Houston Airport System, Zelka Mamirovich with the Houston Airport System, Vinay Kotak, Simran Kotak, Taz Momin, Viral Amin, Rick Paul, Paul Likari, Arvind Bimaraj, Mahesh Shah. The stage has been tested by a structural engineer. It is sound. You all don't have to worry about that. Our elected officials joining us this evening, Congressman Al Green, Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher, State Representative Jean Wu, Houston Mayor John Whitmire, Fort Bend County Judge K.P. George, Harris County Commissioner Adrian Garcia, Fort Bend County Commissioner Andy Myers, Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, Missouri City Mayor Robin Ellicott, Stafford City Mayor Ken Matthews, Houston City Council members Ed Pollard and Letitia Plummer, former Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, former Harris County Judge Ed Emmett, Harris County Clerk Marilyn Burgess, Judge Julie Matthew, Port Freeport Commissioner Rob Gisecki. We are all friends here, so you all get comfortable on stage. So as you all look at this stage, this is what your chamber looks like. We may be called the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce of Greater Houston, but we look like Houston. All that the chamber has been able to accomplish is thanks to each of you in this room, all of our leaders over the last 25 years, and everybody on the stage. As you can see, we are all connected and we are all in this together. We're going to bring to the stage our Consul General of India, DC Manjunath. We have long-term relationships and the connection on the stage is palpable, it's real. The business, civic, and elected leaders on this stage recognize the value and the relevance of the Chamber's initiatives, and your presence and involvement has amplified the impact of the Chamber over the last 25 years. Through all of this, there has been one person that has been instrumental in the Chamber's success. As a successful entrepreneur back in 1999, he helped found the Chamber along with other business leaders and now serves as executive director. His name is synonymous with the Chamber. Everyone in this room remembers when you first met him. Jagdeep Ahluwalia, Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. Jagdeep Ahluwalia is his first name. Indo-American Chamber of Commerce is his last name. He's lived and breathed the Chamber 24/7, 365. So, our first order of duty today is to thank your wife, Dami Ahluwalia, and your sons, Aman and Rohan. Dami Ahluwalia, could you please make your way up to the stage, right to the middle, please. As she makes her way up here, don't be shy. I know it took some convincing, but we're glad you're joining us on stage. We got two things that we want to do on stage. One is recognize Jagdeep and then cut a cake celebrating our 25th anniversary. Jagdeep, thank you for your dedication and commitment to the Chamber. Your tireless efforts have helped grow the Houston economy, create local jobs, bring in investments in the billions of dollars, and help many small and medium businesses succeed. In doing all of this, you've embraced the diversity of Houston and made sure everyone in the region gets to benefit from the efforts of the Chamber. So on behalf of President Rajiv Bhavsar, the Board of Directors, frankly, the entire room and everybody on the stage, we owe you a huge debt of gratitude. Thank you very much. We now also have a small token of appreciation for Dami Ahluwalia. Thank you for sharing Jagdeep with us. We know you all have been married a long time. You didn't know he was also married to the Chamber of Commerce at the same time, but we thank you for that. With that, we're going to ask our founding president, Dr. Durga Agarwal, President Rajiv Bhavsar, President-elect Malaysia, our Executive Director Jagdeep Ahluwalia, and everybody else that can get their hand on a knife and get close to the cake. Let's oh, the sheriff says the knife cannot be used for other purposes other than cutting the cake. So, ladies and gentlemen, happy 25th birthday to Indo-American Chamber of Commerce of Greater Houston.